Well, good Saturday morning. It is officially 8:30. Plenty of people up and at 'em this morning. We've got a look at your morning headlines here on Daybreak. Right now, restrictions reimposed, why Iran says it's reversing course on opening the Strait of Hurmuz as they in the U.S. continue to bridge their differences and work things out. Plus, developing scene in Amherst with police responding to an early morning crash. We'll tell you what we know so far. And planning to watch the Buffalo Sabres from your neighborhood bar to your personal sports palace, we get a taste of the action downtown.
Live from 2 on your side, this is Channel 2 News Daybreak.
And the question is, what will you be doing around 7 o'clock tomorrow night? Thanks for joining us here on Daybreak, though, 8:30 Sunday morning. As we count down to this Bruins-Sabres playoff matchup. Plenty of time, though, to get outside today. Appreciate you joining us here on Daybreak. I'm Rob Hackford. Want to get that check of the forecast to map things out for you as you are planning your weekend here, Kevin. A good start to things, at least for this Saturday.
Yeah, right. The first half of your weekend is looking terrific, and then things will change. This is the nice quarter of your weekend with temperatures making it into the 70s and dry outdoor time, whatever you want to do. Play with the kids, get some outdoor chores done around your property. You'll be able to do it. But keep your eyes to the skies. It's long advertised, a cold front. We're about to work its way through today. I would wrap it up by about 3 p.m. or so for, from Buffalo and the burbs. If you live in Ripley, Celeron, Jamestown area, maybe closer to 2:30, but you'll be able to see it coming and feel it coming. A cold front is going to drop a line of rain, and some stronger storms are more likely for areas of the southern tier, especially inland away from the lake. So Kent County, got to pick on you again, Allegheny County, our viewers in Pennsylvania as well. Of course, we'll give you the latest run of Future Look. We'll talk about all the Sabres outdoor stuff going on tomorrow, but for today, mid-70s and a midday line of rain and thunderstorms working through mid to late afternoon.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin. And we are following some developing, rather breaking news this morning. Police in Amherst are looking into an early morning crash on the 290 eastbound. Night Tech reported the crash just before 5:45 this morning. It caused the ramp near Main Street to close. We saw Amherst police, firefighters, and other first responders at the scene. We saw an SUV rolled over as well, with the scene clearing up about an hour ago, around 7:30 this morning. We have reached out to Amherst Police for some official information. We have not yet heard back, but we'll continue to keep you updated on this crash. Again, on the 290 eastbound in Amherst, now cleared up, but some potential injuries. We'll keep you updated on those this morning. The search for a missing pregnant woman is ramping up, with Buffalo police saying she has not been seen in over 4 days. And take a look at your screen. Police say Sagittarius Sanders was last seen Monday morning after dropping her daughter off at school. She has not shown up to work and is 7 months pregnant. Well, her family telling police the whole thing is out of the ordinary. Sanders was last seen wearing a purple North Face jacket, brown sweatpants, and black and pink Crocs. If you see her, you're asked to call police. And we're expecting to learn more about a shooting involving an armed robbery suspect and Buffalo police. The department says it'll be holding another news briefing later today, sharing some additional details. This surrounds 2 on-duty officers who walked into this 7-Eleven on Buffalo's west side Wednesday night as a man there was holding up a cashier at gunpoint. The suspect had shot the cashier in the leg. Then officers shot that suspect in the arm as he ran out of the store, stole a car, and then drove off. Well, the man has not been identified, but crashed that car just a few blocks down the road. So we were at that scene Wednesday night. The cashier was taken to the hospital and has since been released. Both officers are currently on administrative leave. That's per department policy. 2 on your side will carry live updates from that briefing on WGRZ+. Well, the State Corrections Officers Union is renewing its call for reforms inside state prisons after a recent attack inside Attica Prison. State prison officials tell 2 on your side an inmate who is already under investigation for another attack back in February injured 6 officers Wednesday morning. Some state lawmakers are calling for Governor Kathy Hochul to now intervene.
I think a permanent change will require an act of the legislature, but the governor can act unilaterally by executive order, and she could certainly declare a state of emergency in our prisons, which she should do because it is a dangerous state right now, and she could enact changes and suspend halt.
It's really disheartening to see that here we sit now a year after the strike, after the halt committee was formed after the strike, and not a single thing has changed. And some of these assaults, some of these things have serious ramifications for families and employees.
Well, the governor declared a state of emergency in prisons during those wildcat strikes earlier this year. In a statement, a spokesperson for DOCS, the Department of Corrections and Community Supervision, said, quote, "The commissioner will not tolerate violence in correctional facilities and has stated that the department will take swift and appropriate action to combat violent acts inside." The spokesperson for Governor Hochul did not specify if changes to the HALT Act are being negotiated as part of the ongoing budget process. Well, the impact of an alleged Ponzi scheme may be bigger than initially thought, with more victims and investors coming forward in the wake of a lawsuit that was filed against the Williamsville company, Woodhill Capital. 2 On Your Side's Nate Benson has the latest from Erie County Court.
Friday morning in Judge Koliakovo's courtroom, we learned that the scale of this alleged Ponzi scheme is much bigger than originally thought.
We believe there were at least 65 to 70 additional victims.
And that
it appears at this time that there's at least $40 million of investor funds that went to Woodhill that are unaccounted for and remain outstanding.
Is anyone disputing a Ponzi scheme occurred?
At this point, nobody's disputed that Woodhill operated a Ponzi scheme in soliciting these investments.
Lawyers for defendant David Shoemaker and the estate of Charles Mangione contend that they had no knowledge of this scheme despite working at Woodhill Capital for years and years.
Mr. Toplitsky and Mr. Shoemaker had separate offices. Mr. Toplitsky was in charge of the investor side of the business, which is where this problem exists. And Mr. Shoemaker had a wholly separate operation that involved bank financing rather than investor financing.
The alleged principal architect of the scheme, Richard Toplitsky, was not in court Friday morning and did not have legal representation there. It was alluded in court that Toplitsky was dealing with a medical issue. But attorney Charles Ritter for the plaintiffs confirmed what sources indicated to 2 On Your Side last week. A federal criminal investigation is underway with Toplitsky as the main focus.
There is a criminal investigation ongoing, is my understanding, with the U.S. Attorney's Office and the FBI. They have to go through their process, which can take some time.
Has your client been contacted by the FBI?
Well, we've reached out, I know the prosecutor well, and we've reached out to him and indicated that just as with the civil side, we're prepared to cooperate with the criminal investigation as well.
To your knowledge, right now your client is not a target of that investigation?
That's correct.
Charles Mangione died in December 2023. His estate argues that there is no record that he was involved in the alleged scheme. Before granting a preliminary injunction that froze the Woodhill Capital bank accounts and prevented records from being altered, Judge Emilio Koliakovo had this to say.
But somebody knew something about this, and they need to account for that. It may not be all of the defendants, it may be one of the defendants, but as I indicated, something happened here and those parties need to account for that.
As of Friday's hearing, the attorney for the plaintiffs said that only $100,000 remained in Woodhill Capital bank accounts.
As for what happens next in the civil case, there is another hearing set for July. As for that federal investigation, no charges have been filed just yet. On Your Side in Erie County, Nate Benson, Channel 2 News.
Now, thank you, Nate. In Buffalo, Niagara Honor Flight's first mission of 2026 is happening today. 37 veterans from Western New York and their guests will be traveling down to Washington, D.C. to visit the war monuments and memorials. Honor Flight organizers say every flight is a new journey for these heroes on board.
These are all complete strangers, and they all meet on this flight, and they become brothers, essentially. And when you get to the memorials, when you get to some of the more emotional things, you see the kind of tone change, and you see it in their face and the appreciation that they have for everything. And then you get on the bus, and it's right back to giving each other a hard time. So it's a unique bonding experience, and I'm still friends with the Guardian I was of last year, and I intend to do the same this year.
Yeah, keeping those bonds strong. The veterans are expected to return around 7 p.m. Sunday night, with a celebration scheduled to kick off at 7:45. The public is welcome. At 8:42 on daybreak, and signs that the war in Iran may be winding down have hit another bump. A few hours ago, Iran reversed course to reopen the Strait of Hurmuz after announcing its reopening just yesterday. The country is reimposing restrictions for commercial vessels and warning it will block the strait as long as a U.S. blockade at its ports remain in effect. Well, 2 Iranian gunboats have reported to have fired on a tanker there. That's according to NBC News. And the British is monitoring strikes in the area as well. This comes as more negotiations will be happening this weekend. Yesterday's reopening of the strait led to changes at the pump, with gas prices slightly dropping and stocks surging. President Donald Trump said momentum is building as well towards a broader deal that would end the fighting in Iran.
This process should go very quickly, and that most of the points are already negotiated and agreed to. The USA will get all nuclear dust. You know what the nuclear dust is? That was that white powdery substance created by our B-2 bombers, those great B-2 bombers.
We expect developments throughout this morning and throughout the day. We'll keep you updated as we follow this story on WGRZ.com and later on NBC News. Well, a major broadcast television merger is now on hold. A federal judge has granted a temporary injunction that prevents Nexstar from moving forward with absorbing its former competitor, Tegna. The $6.5 billion deal was formally approved by the FCC and Department of Justice last month and would have made Nexstar the largest TV ownership group in American history. Immediately, it faced lawsuits from DirecTV and a group of state attorneys general, including New York Attorney General Letitia James. In a statement, James applauded the decision, saying Nexstar, meanwhile, promised to appeal the decision. We should note, 2 on Your Side was owned by Tegna before the deal went through. And severe weather is expected to impact millions across the country this weekend. This is video out of Wisconsin showing what appears to be a tornado forming. Houses below on the ground felt the wrath of these storms. Trees snapped in half as well. The National Weather Service is warning of possible flooding and heavy rainfall across parts of Michigan, Wisconsin, and Kansas as well. Those storms also heading towards western New York. As we head to break, a live look outside for you in downtown Buffalo. Kevin's going to have a look at your full forecast coming up here in just a few minutes. We're sitting at 63 degrees right now. That will be changing.